see me. Right, it is just gone 6:30. It's still chucking it down with rain. Just left good old Essex to get into the edge of East London. Hopefully should be there by 8 o'clock. And it's my last day down there today. Which is quite a relief for me really, because I'm used to working a lot more local, but I've not minded the job. I have to say that because the customers are probably watching, but no, I really haven't minded the job. The two people are very dear to me, so there's no problem there. It will be nice to get back local next week and not have to leave the house till, I don't know, 7:15, 7:45 to get to work. So it's about 7:45 now, so that's taken me just about an hour and a quarter, which is a fairly long drive for me nowadays. I don't usually do drives like that. I mean, generally I won't even come into the M25 for anyone. But this is family down at this job, so this is why I'm coming this far. But I don't like it anymore. I don't like driving on motorways anymore. It's funny, as you get older, you never think this is going to happen to you, but as you do get older, I've certainly found that you do get a little bit of sort of anxiety when you got to get on motorways and do journeys and then driving in the dark. And it's funny, I wouldn't say you lose confidence as you get older, but you just become more aware of I don't know, just of the fact that you're doing these journeys, and it's quite hard to explain. I don't know if any of you other older blokes feel the same really. You know, when you're young, you don't even think of the journey. You just jump in the car or the van or whatever, and off you go. It don't matter where you're going. But I've certainly found over the last few years that there's a little bit of anxiety jumps in, and you're laying there at night thinking, right, I've got to get out early, got to get on that motorway, get through that lot, get through that traffic. Whereas before, traffic just didn't bother me. It wasn't even a fault, you know. You just did what you did. And next week I'm back fairly local to me again. I should be working probably at the weekend as well. I've got two jobs running together. Like a bit of an idiot, I've booked myself in two jobs. Both customers are going away on holiday. One of them's going for about 2 weeks. One of them's going for a week, and I've got two jobs to get done in them times, which, to be honest, is lovely for me to have two empty houses. That doesn't happen much anymore. Pre-pandemic, pre-COVID, whatever you want to call it, I used to have that a lot. You know, most people would be out working and they'd leave the key under the mat, or you'd have the key. Nowadays, it's a bit of a different story. If there's a couple, generally one of them will be working from home. So, but it's always nice to have the place to yourself, and you know, like you can have a little poo when you want to and all that. Yeah, sing a song, have the radio on. But yeah, I'm looking forward to next week, just to get back to just being around the corner and just having the house to myself, really. Not that I want to get up too much. Like years ago, you know, you get the old biscuit tin out, you'd be cracking it in the biscuit tin years ago. Years ago, when my first sort of plastering job, me and my boss Dave, we would literally, and this is not exaggerating it, some of the houses we was in, at whatever time it was on, we'd have neighbours on in the daytime, and I can remember a couple of times sitting on people's couches with a cup of tea and the old biscuit tin in our lap. I mean, funny now when you think of it, but you just couldn't do it now. You wouldn't do it. You would not do anything like that, because too many people have got cameras probably secretly pointing at you. I mean, I've worked in houses before that have been, you know, empty, and I've seen little devices. You know, you hear a little clicking and a tiny little light comes on every time you walk past. I've seen that once or twice, actually. Definitely once, may have been twice. So I knew I was being recorded, because every time I walked through the kitchen, it was walking through the kitchen to get some water, I heard a very tiny click, and I just noticed a very faint light was coming on something. And I thought, you're recording me, are you? So anyway, I wouldn't do anything out of order anyway, but you might do anything, mate. You might be on the phone to someone, you might be swearing and shouting at someone, or talking about something, you know, that's private on the phone, and then suddenly they're recording you, they're listening to your conversation. So if I am working in the house now and I do need to get out and have a bit of a private conversation, I'll just come in the van, because you just do not know who's listening to you or watching you anymore. And it is Friday, thank God. I'm knackered. This has been a up early, in late for me, which I'm not used to that. And it's been quite hard work here, you know, quite a big room, big ceilings, big tall walls. And, I'll tell you what, I have been sleeping like a baby. Oh, waking up covered in piss. Been trying for ages to get a joke in. I hope you appreciate that one. It's another cracker from the old Baron of Fun, mate. Right, so here we are, last day in here today. Not too much to do. All I've got to do is... Where are we? Let me turn you around. I can't do it facing this way. So it's just this back wall there. Little chimney breast there. And that there. And that's it. And then just a good clear up. But I won't film me doing any of that today. I think over the course of the week, for those that have been watching, you've seen enough of me just plastering. So I'll plaster it all. I'll just film it done so you can see the finished thing. And then have a good clear up. And then we shall be on the way home. And I might have a chat with you on the way home. So anyway, I'll see you in a while. Better get on with this. Now, I don't know about you, but I get really bored of eating the same old things every day. So this year's going to be different. Have a look at this. Look at that. Got some curry in that from dinner last night. Homemade curry, by the way, made by moi. So yeah, I'm going to heat that up. I'm going to start bringing this little thing to work with me and having some decent food. Because yesterday, I had a little bit of bad news yesterday. I went to Slimming World for the first time in 3 weeks and I'd put £6 on, so no more of them treaties. Can't be getting fat and old. I can only get old, but I can't control that bit, but I can control getting fat. So I always said to myself, always knew I was going to be bald. Obviously always knew, touch wood, I was going to get old. And I said, I'm not going to get bald, old and fat, because I'd end up looking like Homer. So that's the plan, to try and keep myself as fit as I can, agile as I can, because I'm not going to be stopping working anytime soon. So I just think a bit of good food in a day will do the world of good. So, right, all packed away. That's that run done. And the last of it is just this little one. All done now. Right, it's 2:20. I'm finished that job. It's daylight, I'm on the way home. And I'm pleased about that. Looking forward to the weekend, although I'm probably going to be doing some work this weekend. It won't not be as intense as that. I got really bad heartburn. It was that curry in that bloody slogan. It's giving me really bad heartburn. I could do with a little bottle of Gaviscon, really. Come on. There's a really lovely pub on the way home. One of these trendy London pubs, these big old London pubs. I'll show you as we go past. I've got to go and look at another job on the way home. Do you ever do that? You book a job in, yeah, I'll come and look at it on the way home. And then when it comes to coming home, you're really not in the mood for it. It's not too far out of the way anyway, so it shouldn't be too bad. Ah, so this is his pub, look, right on this corner with the lights here. I'll try and get a bit big. It's a big old bloody bus. That bus is going to sort me out now, isn't it? It's going to stay in his lane. I ain't going to be able to show you. Is he going to turn left? Yeah, I think this is a left turn lane, so the bus should turn. I'm giving this pub a hell of a build up, aren't I? You'll probably just look at it and go, oh yeah, pub, yeah. Underground station over there. I did a load of work on the underground years ago, and it went all about the boxing ring. Wallop, he's gone down. Gotta love a bit of Chaz and Dave, haven't you? Wallop, he's gone down. Come on, son, next one's yours. Alright, bus is turning left. Look at this pub, look. What a beauty. What a beautiful looking pub that is, look. Don't you just want to go in there and where everybody knows your name? Well, let's put you back down. Yeah, I used to work on property maintenance firm, a particular one, and we used to do railway stations. I've probably told you some of you this before, really. We didn't do track work, we didn't do work on the lines, but we just did work on the platforms and the buildings associated with the station. So it was all, most of it was like call outs, wasn't really planned maintenance, it was all sort of emergency call outs or bits and pieces really. And that was for the lines that were, so we used to do the line that went from Fenchurch Street out to Southend, all the way up to Shoeburyness, I think. Then we used to do the line that went from King's Cross to King's Lynn, and then we did another line from Euston up to sort of Buckinghamshire. But with some of them train lines, some of them overgrounds also go underground. So when they get into inner London, they go into, I suppose it would be like on the underground, really, on the underground stations. Some of them trains pass through. Ones in particular I can think of was, Moorgate and Essex Road and Old Street. I don't know if you know Old Street. Old Street is a big train station. It's very deep, and I've had to go down there before at night and do a little bit of work. I had to do some tiling on the platform. There was a patch that was coming off down at Old Street, and obviously it's a bit dangerous for it to be falling off and stuff like that. So over the course of a couple of nights, I had to go down there and take the loose tiles off, patch it up, and just sort it out, really. And I tell you what, there is no scarier place to be on your own than in an underground station. Unbelievable. How do mind play tricks on you down in them places? Because I think we had the keys as well. Might have even had the keys to get in because they had the sliding gates, like the concertina gates. And obviously you go in, and especially Old Street, you go down and down and down. And I don't know if any of you have seen American Werewolf in London, but there's that bit where that fellow in the suit, he's at the chocolate machine, he's getting a bar of chocolate out, and he hears the old wolf down the tunnel. Oh, he's going, hello, is anybody there?
Hello? Is there someone there?
And anyway, as he's walking out of the underground station, he's walking around all the sort of curved corridors, them horrible, cold, tiled, curved corridors. And he looks behind him, and you can just see the bit of the wolf crawling towards him, and then he starts running, and then he falls over on the escalator, and that's where the camera shot above is great, because he's quite far back, and you see him sort of laying on the escalator, and you just see the wolf come out. Check that bit out if you're on YouTube, obviously. Just check out the bit of Miracle Werewolf when it gets the man on the underground station. And it might have even been filmed at that bloody station, honestly. When you're walking back with your little bucket of tools and you're trying to go back up to the top from the bottom, and you're walking around them bendy corridors, and you can't see what's round there, or if you look backwards, you can't see what's there. Honestly, your mind plays tricks on you. Absolutely crapping myself down there. Quite a scary place to be at night, a train station. I was working on one station late at night, and that wasn't Stoke Newington, it was Upper Clapton, I think, over in East London. And I had to go out one night and board up this window, an emergency job. Someone smashed a window, so we got called out to board them up. And it was in the booking room. Of course, there's no staff on at that time of night. It's just been reported via someone that might have got off a train, like a staff member. But we have to go down and board this window up. And I remember I was in this booking office. I was only young as well, and I was boarding up this window, and there was these two blokes hanging about, and they looked a little bit noncy, and I was only young, and I was a bit more, I suppose, not going to say I was attractive at all, but I had sort of a bit more blonde hair. I was a bit more, I suppose, like, I don't know, a bit more pretty, I suppose. And there was these two noncy blokes hanging about, long coats on, looked like they were right dirty nonces, and I remember I was boarding up this window, and I think I was doing it with like a hammer, and might have even been hammer and nails, because I know I had a hammer on me. And I remember I'm thinking, why are these two blokes hanging about? There's no more trains here. Why are they standing in this ticket office? And I just sort of looked out the corner of my eye, and I looked at one of them, and I caught him looking at the other bloke, and he sort of went as if like, ready? Like a nod. And I thought, fuck that. So I got down off the steps, and I went outside the front door, and I was smoking. I smoked it, so I smoked a fag, and I had my hammer on me, and I just remember sort of standing there, swinging the hammer to try and basically say to them, you fucking come near me, you're going to get one of these round the head. And they went in the end, so I think they was definitely up to something. Was going to get hold of me or do something to me. Maybe I should have stuck about. But no, scary places. London at night can be scary. I mean, two of the stations in particular, it was Bethnal Green Station and London Field Station. If you got called out at night, you wasn't allowed to go there on your own. You had to call the backup bloke, because there was always a backup when you was on emergency call out. You was first called in, get your backup. And Bethnal Green and London Fields was a no-no for you to go on your own. But sometimes you would go on your own because you didn't want to get some other poor sod out of bed just to come and sort of babysit you. There was a lot of druggies hanging about there as well, and they would try and, well, the story was that a few blokes had had their tools nicked out of there, and another bloke had had like hypodermic needles chucked at him like darts around there. A filthy place at night. Vibrant in the daytime, obviously full of city people in and out of work, but at night it's a different thing really. It's sort of a bit of a scummy, scary place, but I don't know, it's life, isn't it really? I quite like all that really. I quite like the darkness and the danger of it. Not now, but at the time I found it all a little bit exciting really, that sort of thing. Right, just pulled up out me a little job I've got to look at. Let's get the new diary out. Very posh, very posh. Got to have a diary, right, that's that Wednesday, Thursday, right, okay, let's get a pen. Let's get a pen and look very professional, although I have worked in this house a couple of years ago. I've been quote, right, let's go have a look at this and I shall come back then. I've got a ghost story to tell you from the underground. But what was I saying before that? That's right, I was talking about ghosts on the underground. If any of you are still there, thanks for holding on. But yeah, I was working down at Finsbury Park station, and we were just talking. I was talking to the duty manager there, and he said that one night there was an alarm went off down in Moorgate station, and he called the fire brigade out. The fire brigade went in there, silenced the alarm. He said a couple of hours later that alarm went off again. So he called the fire brigade again, and they said, look, we're not going to keep going back down there. They told him how to switch the alarm off. But what they also told him was the alarm that went on could only have gone on if it had been physically pressed. But the station was locked up, there was no one down there. I mean, how do you explain that? He had to go and turn this alarm off. And he said he was absolutely shitting himself because obviously the fact that it physically needed turning on either meant that someone was there turning it on, or it was a ghost or something. But saying that, there's a really interesting documentary that was on telly a few years ago, and I think it's on YouTube now, and it's called Ghosts of the Underground. I'll really recommend it if you're into that sort of thing. I love anything like that, but if you're into it, I thoroughly recommend it. Purely for the fact that the stories are good, but also the blokes that are telling you the stories are old London Underground workers, and them sort of blokes, them old time workers, they're real no nonsense blokes, you know. They're not there to make stories up, you know. A lot of them are probably gone now, but the stories they're telling you, and when they're telling these stories, you can tell these are like proper men. They're not fantasy storytellers, they're just old London Underground workers. So what they're saying, I believe every word of it, and there's some great stories on there. So I thoroughly recommend that. So I'm going to shut up now because I'm nearly home, and I'm going to wish you all a nice weekend. I may even see you over the weekend. I'm not sure if I'm going to work or not yet. I've got lots to be getting on with, so I potentially might work over the weekend. Excuse me, but if I don't, I hope you all have a great weekend. Thanks for watching me, thanks for putting up with me, and I'll see you soon. Take care, bye bye.